Another tense day in Ferguson, Missouri. Angry protesters want the arrest of the cop who killed teenager Michael Brown. Meanwhile, Attorney General Eric Holder is in the city and the grand jury has its work set out. Ebru's Kyle Schmoyer joins us live in studio with the very latest. Kyle.
Logan, here's what we know tonight. We know the grand jury started hearing evidence today. It's believed the friend of Michael Brown, who was with him before he was shot, will be one of the first witnesses. Reportedly, police officer Darren Wilson, who allegedly fired the 6 shots, has been invited to testify, but legal experts highly doubt he will. The grand jury process, for now, is behind closed doors. The lead prosecutor says it could take till mid-October to present the evidence to the panel. So tonight, the wheels of justice are rolling, but certainly not fast enough for the people of Ferguson. Protesters stage outside the St. Louis County Justice Center Wednesday, calling for the arrest of Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson. Inside, it's believed a grand jury will start hearing evidence presented by County Prosecutor Bob McCullough, who some say shouldn't even be leading the case. While most people came to remember 18-year-old Michael Brown, there were a few supporters of Officer Wilson mixing in. At the same time today, U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder visits Ferguson, first meeting with community leaders, local residents, and law enforcement in the area, including Captain Ron Johnson, who's been leading the policing effort.
I think it'll show the people of Ferguson, the people of St. Louis, the people of our nation, that their voices are heard, that the highest office in this land is listening to their voices, and taking a look into the incident that happened.
Holder is expected to check in with dozens of FBI agents and other federal personnel on the ground there, conducting a federal civil rights investigation.
A future for Ferguson right now is just blurry. So we just need some answers, some questions, some changes, and we need some inspiration. And by him being here now, that's giving us inspiration.
Protesters and police gearing up for another evening of marching. While Tuesday night proved mostly peaceful, some unrest did unfold later on from so-called agitators and some police who, it turns out, were baiting the crowd.
The behavior was inappropriate, and we took appropriate action. We've sent some officers home, and we will continue to make sure that everybody's treated fairly, and that inappropriate behavior will not be tolerated on either side, whether that's law enforcement or that's the criminals that have antagonized the peaceful protests.
And we are learning tonight that there was a video of that Missouri Highway Patrol officer pointing his gun and threatening one of the protesters. That video got in the hands of the ACLU, who sent a letter to Missouri Highway Patrol asking for that officer to be removed. Late today, we got confirmation that he has been suspended. At the same time today, Eric Holder is wrapping up his visit to Ferguson. We are told he will meet with the parents of Michael Brown, and he is telling those folks in the community to help calm some of this unrest, that as the federal investigation goes on, he has some of his best agents and prosecutors working this investigation. Logan?
Kyle, aside from some problems here and there, you talked about that rogue police officer, for example, but by and large, it seems like the situation is getting somewhat better in Ferguson.
Yeah, you know, some of the leaders there, the police leaders, including Captain Johnson, believe that they may very well have turned a corner last night. It was very different than the evenings we saw previously, and what they're attributing this to is that there's a lot of religious leaders and other community leaders coming out in t-shirts that say peace, and actually standing in between those that are trying to demonstrate and protest and where the police lines are. Standing in between people, some of those agitators that are there just to make trouble. They are taking a risk, putting their own lives at jeopardy in doing so, but they're trying to push back those that are just trying to make trouble, so that the whole idea of this protest and the message doesn't get lost in those crazy scenes on the streets of Ferguson. Logan?
All right, Kyle Schmoyer reporting live in the studio for us tonight with the very latest on Ferguson. Thank you so much for that report, Kyle.